Arsenal Daily News, double transfer bombshell, Adeyemi's Arsenal dream, and the Semenyo dilemma. Hello, Gooners, and welcome back to Arsenal Daily News. Today we have got not one, but two absolutely massive transfer stories that could define our entire season and shape the future of this football club. We're talking about a European superstar who reportedly prefers Arsenal over Manchester United, and a player who could damage our title hopes before joining our biggest rivals. Trust me, you are going to want to stick around for every single minute of this, because what I am about to break down could be the difference between celebrating a Premier League trophy in May or watching Manchester City lift again. Let me set the scene for you. Arsenal are flying right now. 6 points clear at the top of the table. We just demolished Aston Villa. The team is playing with swagger, confidence, and belief. Mikel Arteta has built something genuinely special here. But while we are focused on the title race, there are two transfer situations unfolding right now that every single Arsenal fan needs to understand. First, we have got breaking news from Germany about Karim Adeyemi. This is one of the most exciting young attackers in European football, a player Borussia Dortmund are willing to sell. And according to reports, he has made his choice. He wants Arsenal, not Manchester United, not any other club, Arsenal. And the reasons why he prefers us over United tell you everything you need to know about how far this club has come under Arteta and Edu. Then we have got the Antoine Semenyo situation, and this one is genuinely concerning for our title challenge. Imagine this. A player who is on the verge of joining Manchester City, our direct title rivals, is going to play against us this weekend, while still a Bournemouth player. If he has a brilliant game, if he takes points off us, and then goes on to help City in the second half of the season, he could have one of the biggest individual impacts on a title race in Premier League history. This is not hyperbole. This is a real scenario we need to talk about. So in this video, I am going to break down both situations in detail. I am going to explain why Adeyemi choosing Arsenal over United is a massive statement about where these two clubs are right now. I am going to analyze what his arrival could mean for our squad and why Arsenal are being smart by waiting until summer. Then I am going to dive deep into the Semenyo situation, why it is so dangerous for our title hopes, and what Arsenal need to do to navigate this potential minefield. This is Arsenal Daily News, and by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what is at stake for our club in the coming weeks and months. Let's get into it. Arsenal Daily News. Karim Adeyemi transfer analysis. Hello, Gooners, and welcome back to Arsenal Daily News. Today, we have got some absolutely fascinating transfer news coming out of Germany that could have major implications for Arsenal's squad planning heading into next season. We are talking about Borussia Dortmund winger Karim Adeyemi, and reports suggesting he has a very clear preference about his next destination. So let's dive deep into the story and break down exactly what it means for the Gunners. The Karim Adeyemi situation. First, let me give you the context here. Karim Adeyemi has established himself as one of the most exciting attacking players in European football right now. He currently plays for Borussia Dortmund in the Bundesliga, and according to the reports we are seeing, his situation at the club is reaching a critical point. The German side is reportedly prepared to let him leave, and the expectation is that he will depart at the end of the current season. Now, this is significant because Adeyemi previously had opportunities to leave Dortmund but chose to stay. He believed at that time that Dortmund was the right environment for his development as a player, but things have clearly changed. That position is shifting, and Dortmund's willingness to sanction a sale has opened the door for several top clubs to come calling. And Arsenal are very much in that conversation. Arsenal's interest in the winger. According to a report from TalkSport, Arsenal view Adeyemi as an ideal option to strengthen their wide attacking areas. This makes complete sense when you think about the profile of player Mikel Arteta tends to target. The club believes that Adeyemi's qualities fit well into their long-term plans, which suggests they had done their homework on how he would integrate into the system. But here is where it gets interesting from a timing perspective. Arsenal are not currently focused on recruitment right now, and the reason for that is pretty straightforward. The Gunners are deeply involved in a serious title race at this very moment. The club believes they already possess the squad required to challenge for the Premier League crown. Their strong position and the momentum they have built could actually work in their favor when it comes to competing for elite talent like Adeyemi. Think about it from a player's perspective. If you are choosing between different clubs, you want to join a team that is stable, progressing, and competing for major honors. Arsenal tick all those boxes right now. That stability and progress make them an attractive destination, and this could be a real advantage when you compare Arsenal to some of their rivals who are still in rebuilding phases. However, any concrete move for Adeyemi is likely to be delayed until the summer. Arsenal's priority right now is crystal clear: win the league. Everything else can wait. The Manchester United factor. Now we cannot talk about this transfer story without discussing Manchester United's involvement. According to the same TalkSport report, Manchester United also hold a long-standing interest in Karim Adeyemi. The Red Devils have been tracking him for some time and see him as a suitable addition to their squad. United's recruitment team admires his qualities and believes he can make a significant impact within their group. But here is where the story takes a really interesting turn. The report states that Adeyemi does not favor a move to Manchester United, and the reason given is quite telling. He is reportedly put off by the club's struggles over recent seasons. When you think about it, this makes sense. Manchester United have been in a period of instability and transition for several years now. They have cycled through managers, struggled for consistency, and have not been competing at the level they were known for during their dominant years. In contrast, the report adds that Adeyemi would prefer a move to Arsenal instead. He views the Gunners as a more appealing sporting project. This is absolutely massive if true. When a player of this caliber is choosing between two of England's biggest clubs, and he prefers Arsenal based on where the clubs are at in their respective journeys, that tells you everything about the work Mikel Arteta and Edu have done in building this project. What this means for Arsenal's planning. Let me break down the tactical and strategic implications of this potential signing. Arsenal's interest in wide attackers is not new. We have seen the club linked with various players in these positions over the past few windows. The reason is clear. While Arsenal have quality in wide areas, adding more depth and different profiles gives Arteta more options and keeps the squad fresh across a long, grueling season. Adeyemi would bring pace, directness, and goal threat from wide positions. He is a type of player who can stretch defenses, take on opponents in 1-versus-1 situations, and create chances both for himself and his teammates. These are qualities that any top team needs, especially when you're competing on multiple fronts in the Premier League, Champions League, FA Cup, and League Cup. But Arsenal are being smart about this. They are not rushing into anything. The report makes it clear that despite Adeyemi's preference for Arsenal, he may need to wait until the summer before the Gunners act on their interest. This patient approach is exactly what you want to see from a well-run football club. There is no panic. There is no desperate scrambling to sign players in January just because they are available. Instead, Arsenal's focus remains firmly on their title challenge. Transfer decisions are expected to follow once the season concludes. This is sensible management. You do not want to disrupt a squad that is performing well and challenging for the biggest prize in English football. You do not want to upset the balance or create uncertainty. You keep your head down. You focus on the games, and you deal with transfers when the time is right. The summer window outlook. Looking ahead to the summer, this could be a fascinating transfer window for Arsenal. If the Gunners do indeed win the Premier League title, which they are currently in a strong position to do, their attractiveness to top players will only increase. Players want to join champions. They want to be part of successful projects. And if Arsenal can add that league title to their trophy cabinet, it becomes an even easier sell when you're trying to recruit elite talent like Adeyemi. The fact that Adeyemi reportedly prefers Arsenal over Manchester United despite United's history and stature tells you that modern footballers are smart. They look at the direction clubs are heading, not just the name on the badge. They look at the coaching, the playing style, the squad quality, and the likelihood of winning trophies. On all those metrics, Arsenal right now are in a much better place than Manchester United. This preference also speaks volumes about the reputation Mikel Arteta has built among players across Europe. When top talents are choosing Arsenal because they believe in the project and the manager, that is a testament to the culture that has been created at the club. It shows that the hard work during those difficult early years under Arteta is now paying dividends. The pain of those 8th-place finishes, the criticism, the doubts, all of it was part of the process. And now Arsenal are reaping the rewards. The competition factor. Of course, we have to acknowledge that transfer sagas are rarely straightforward. While the report suggests Adeyemi prefers Arsenal, there is still a long time between now and the summer transfer window. Things can change. Other clubs could enter the race. The player's circumstances could shift. Dortmund's asking price could be a factor. Financial fair play considerations might come into play. What we know for certain is that Manchester United will not give up easily. Despite the player's reported preference, United have the resources and the determination to try and change his mind. They will likely offer competitive wages, and they will sell their own vision for where the club is heading under their current management structure. But Arsenal have something that is harder to buy with money alone. They have momentum. They have a clear identity on the pitch. They have a manager who has proven he can develop young players and build winning teams. They have a squad full of talent that is only getting better. And most importantly right now, they have a genuine chance of winning the Premier League title. Why Arsenal are not moving in January? Let me address something that some fans might be wondering. If Adeyemi prefers Arsenal and is available, why not move for him in January? Why wait until summer? The answer comes down to squad harmony and focus. When you are in a title race, the last thing you want is distractions. Bringing in a major new signing in January means integrating him into the squad mid-season. It means adjusting tactics to accommodate him. It means other players potentially losing their spots or seeing reduced minutes. All of this can create tension and disruption at exactly the wrong time. Arsenal have clearly made the calculation that their current squad is good enough to win the league. They do not need reinforcements right now. What they need is focus, consistency, and belief. By publicly stating that their priority is the title race and that transfers will wait, the club is sending a clear message to the players. We believe in you. We trust you. Now go out and prove we are right to believe in you. This approach also protects the club financially. Summer signings give you a full pre-season to integrate them. You can plan properly. You can sell players if needed to balance the books. You are not making panic decisions or paying inflated January prices. It is smart, measured, and strategic. The bigger picture. When we zoom out and look at the bigger picture here, this Adeyemi story is about more than just one potential signing. It is a reflection of where Arsenal are as a football club right now. Not long ago, Arsenal were struggling to attract top talent. Players were choosing other clubs over the Gunners. There were questions about the direction and ambition. Fast forward to today, and we are seeing reports that one of Europe's most sought-after young attackers prefers Arsenal over Manchester United. That is a seismic shift. It shows how far this club has come under the current leadership. It validates everything Arteta and the recruitment team have been building toward. The fact that Arsenal can afford to be patient, to say we will wait until summer because we are focused on winning the title right now, that is a position of strength. That is not a club desperate for any scraps they can get. That is a club operating from a place of confidence and clarity. What happens next? So what should Arsenal fans expect in the coming months regarding Karim Adeyemi? Based on this report, do not expect any movement in January. The focus is entirely on the Premier League title race. Arsenal are 6 points clear at the top, and they want to maintain that momentum without any distractions. Come summer, if Arsenal has secured the league title, expect the Adeyemi talks to heat up significantly. The club will likely move quickly to secure their targets once the season ends. They will have the appeal of being champions. They will have Champions League football to offer. And if this report is accurate, they will have a player who already wants to join them. The Manchester United competition will be there, but Arsenal hold the advantage based on sporting merit and the player's reported preference. Of course, United could try to blow Arsenal out of the water with a massive financial offer, but modern players, especially the smart ones, are not just motivated by money alone. They want to win. They want to develop. They want to be part of something special. Final thoughts. Let me wrap this up with some final thoughts on what this story tells us about Arsenal in 2026. This is a club that has transformed itself from top 4 hopefuls to genuine title contenders and now to a destination that elite players prefer over some of the biggest names in football. The Adeyemi situation, if these reports are accurate, is symbolic of Arsenal's rise. A player choosing Arsenal over Manchester United based on a sporting project would have been unthinkable just a few years ago. Now it makes perfect sense because anyone watching football can see which club is better run, which has a clearer vision, and which is more likely to be successful in the coming years. For Arsenal fans, this should be encouraging on multiple levels. First, it suggests the club is actively planning for next season and identifying targets that fit the profile of what Arteta wants. Second, it shows that Arsenal's reputation among players is strong and improving. Third, it demonstrates that the club is being smart and patient rather than desperate and reactive. The key now is to stay focused on the present. When the game's in front of you, keep that 6-point lead at the top of the table. Build on the momentum. And when summer comes, if Arsenal are Premier League champions, players like Adeyemi will be even more eager to join this exciting project. That is all for today's Arsenal Daily News. If this transfer story interests you, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you do not miss any updates as the saga develops over the coming months. Let me know in the comments what you think about the possibility of Adeyemi joining Arsenal and whether you think he would be a good fit for Mikel Arteta's system. Thanks for watching, Gooners, and I will see you in the next one. Come on, you Gunners. Arsenal Daily News. The Antoine Semenyo situation. What it means for our title challenge. Hello, Gooners, and welcome back to Arsenal Daily News. Today we've got a fascinating story to break down. One that involves our upcoming fixture against Bournemouth, a player who could potentially damage our title hopes, and Manchester City lurking in the background, as they always seem to do. This is a story about Antoine Semenyo, and trust me, by the end of this analysis you will understand why the situation is so critical for Arsenal Football Club. Let me start with the headline news. Arsenal are preparing to face Bournemouth in what will be our first fixture of 2026. Now, you might think this is just another game, another opportunity to pick up 3 points and keep our title challenge on track. But there's a subplot here that makes this fixture particularly intriguing and potentially dangerous for us. Bournemouth manager Andoni Iraola has just confirmed in his pre-match press conference that Antoine Semenyo will be available and will in fact play against Arsenal. Now, why is this significant? Why am I dedicating an entire analysis to one opposition player being available? Well, let me explain the full context because this situation is far more complex than it appears on the surface. First, let me give you the background on our current situation. Arsenal came into this match off the back of an excellent result. We absolutely hammered Aston Villa earlier this week. The team has played with confidence. The attacking play is flowing, and Mikel Arteta has got the squad firing on all cylinders. So from that perspective, we should be going into this Bournemouth fixture feeling very positive about our chances. However, and this is a big however, we are in the middle of an incredibly tight title race. Manchester City, despite drawing with Sunderland yesterday, are finding their stride again. They are the defending champions. They have been here before, and they know how to win titles. Every single point matters at this stage of the season. We cannot afford to drop points against teams we should be beating, especially when City are breathing down our necks. Now here is where the Antoine Semenyo situation becomes absolutely fascinating and potentially problematic for Arsenal. Semenyo is Bournemouth's star player. He is a guy who makes them tick, the player who creates chances, scores goals, and generally causes problems for opposition defenses. Any team would miss a player of his quality. But here is the twist that makes this story so compelling. Antoine Semenyo is on his way to Manchester City. Yes, you heard that right. The very team we are competing with for the Premier League title is in the process of signing Bournemouth's best player. The move is described as almost certain in the article. So we have got a situation where a player who is about to join our title rivals could potentially play a crucial role in damaging our own title hopes before he even puts on a City shirt. Let me read you what Andoni Iraola said in his press conference because his words are very telling. He confirmed that yes, Antoine is going to play in this match. He went on to say that the idea is that Semenyo will be available for these 2 home games in a short turnaround. Iraola also said he hopes Semenyo can be at Bournemouth for more time, but he does not know what is going to happen. When pressed on whether this could be Semenyo's last match for Bournemouth, Irola was diplomatic but realistic. He said that is not the idea, but the transfer market is open and you never know what is going to happen. He cannot control these things. He confirmed there is nothing signed yet, but there are conversations happening. He understands the noise around the situation. Crucially, he said Antoine is still their player and he hopes to keep him for a lot of time, but again, he does not know what will happen. Irola also praised Semenyo's professionalism. He said Semenyo is playing very well, doing the right things, is a top professional and a top guy. He wants to help the team and his teammates. Irola has no doubts that Semenyo will do his best, and there are no doubts about his commitment. Now, let me break down why this is such bad news for Arsenal. From a pure footballing perspective, Mikel Arteta would probably say, and rightly so, that the focus should be on what his team does. If Arsenal play to their maximum level, if we execute our game plan properly, if our players perform to their capabilities, then we should win this game regardless of who Bournemouth have available. And you know what? Arteta would be right to say that. Arsenal are the better team. We have better players. We have more quality throughout the squad. On paper, this should be 3 points for us. But football is not played on paper, is it? Football is played on grass, in real conditions, with real human beings who have good days and bad days. And even the greatest managers in the world, the most successful coaches in history, they will all admit that seeing your opposition be without a key player is a significant boost. It changes the complexion of the game. It makes your job easier. Unfortunately for Mikel Arteta and for Arsenal, that will not be the case this weekend. We will not get that boost. We will not have the luxury of facing a Bournemouth side missing their most dangerous attacking player. Instead, we will have to deal with a player who is in excellent form, who is motivated, who is professional, and who, according to his manager, will give everything for the team. But here is where the story gets even more interesting, even more frustrating from an Arsenal perspective. Let me paint you the full picture of what could potentially happen here, because the implications are genuinely significant for the title race. Imagine this scenario. Tomorrow, Arsenal travel down to Bournemouth. The game is tight. It is competitive. Bournemouth are fighting for every ball. Then, Antoine Semenyo has one of those days. You know the kind of day I am talking about. Everything he touches turns to gold. He scores a goal. Maybe he creates another. Bournemouth get a result against us. Maybe they win. Maybe they get a draw. But either way, Arsenal drop points. Then, a few days later, or maybe a week later, the transfer goes through. Semenyo signs for Manchester City. He joins our title rivals. And in the second half of the season, he helps Manchester City win games, score goals, and ultimately helps them win the Premier League title. Do you see what I am getting at here? In that scenario, Antoine Semenyo would have directly helped Manchester City win the title in two ways. First, by taking points off Arsenal while still a Bournemouth player. Second, by contributing to City's success after joining them. The article suggests that if this happens, Semenyo would have one of the biggest individual impacts on a title race in Premier League history. And you know what? That assessment might actually be accurate. Think about it. How often do you see a player influence a title race while playing for two different teams, one of which is directly competing for that title? It is an incredibly unusual situation. It is the kind of thing that could be talked about for years to come if it actually plays out that way. Now, I want to be clear about something here. None of this is Semenyo's fault. He is a professional footballer doing his job. If he performs well for Bournemouth, good for him. He should be giving 100% for whichever team employs him. That is what professionals do. Andoni Iraola spoke very highly of his character and professionalism, and there is no reason to doubt that. But from an Arsenal perspective, from the perspective of our title challenge, this is undeniably a difficult situation. We are essentially facing a player who could be wearing a Manchester City shirt in a matter of days or weeks, and he has the opportunity to damage our title hopes before he even completes that move. Let me talk about what Arsenal need to do to navigate this fixture successfully. First and foremost, we need to focus on ourselves. Mikel Arteta will be drilling this into the players. Forget about Semenyo's future. Forget about Manchester City. Forget about the narratives and the storylines. Just focus on playing good football, executing the game plan, and getting the 3 points. Arsenal have shown this season that when we are at our best, we can beat anyone. We hammered Aston Villa earlier this week. We have been excellent in big games. We have the quality in our squad to go to Bournemouth and win comfortably if we perform to our level. Defensively, we need to be smart about how we deal with Semenyo. Our center backs need to be aware of his movement. Our full backs need to track his runs. Our midfielders need to close down the spaces he likes to operate in. We cannot give him time and space on the ball because that is when he is most dangerous. But defense is only half the battle. Offensively, we need to take the game to Bournemouth. We need to impose ourselves on them from the first whistle. Get the ball, control possession, create chances, and most importantly, take those chances when they come. If we can score early, if we can get that first goal and settle any nerves, then the game becomes much more manageable. The article mentions that Mikel Arteta has issued an update on Declan Rice's injury ahead of this fixture. Now, I do not have the details of what that update contains from this particular article, but Rice's availability could be crucial. He is such an important player for us, the kind of midfielder who can control games, break up opposition attacks, and provide that stability in the middle of the park that allows our attacking players to flourish. Let me also address the broader context of our title challenge. The article mentions that Manchester City drew with Sunderland yesterday. That is interesting in itself. Sunderland held City to a stalemate, which shows that even the best teams can have off days, can struggle against well-organized opposition. Arsenal cannot afford to have one of those off days against Bournemouth. The title race is described as getting ever more nervy. That is the nature of competing with Manchester City. They have been the dominant force in English football for years now. They know how to win titles. They know how to handle pressure. They have that experience, that winning mentality that comes from doing it year after year. For Arsenal, this is about proving we can match them, proving we can handle the pressure of a sustained title challenge, proving that when the big moments come, when the difficult fixtures arrive, we can get results. Bournemouth away might not seem like a glamorous fixture, might not seem like a defining moment in the season, but these are exactly the kind of games that win or lose titles. Think back to previous title races. How many times have we seen teams drop points in games they were expected to win? How many times have we seen a surprise result in December or January that ends up being the difference between first and second place in May? Football history is full of these moments. The article makes another interesting point. It suggests that in another season, Antoine Semenyo would very much be the sort of player Mikel Arteta would be looking to sign for Arsenal. And you know what? That is probably true. Semenyo has had an excellent season. He is quick. He is direct. He can play across the front line. He scores goals. He creates chances. Those are all qualities that would be valuable to any top team, including Arsenal. But he is going to Manchester City instead, assuming the deal goes through. That is just how football works sometimes. City have the resources. They have the pull. They have the track record of success that makes them an attractive destination for players. Arsenal are building something special under Arteta, but we are not quite at that level yet where we can compete with City for every single target. That is why winning the title this season would be so significant. It would announce Arsenal as genuine contenders again. It would show players around the world that we are back at the top table. It would change the perception of the club and make us even more attractive to top talent in future transfer windows. But we are getting ahead of ourselves. Before we can think about winning titles and attracting players, we need to win the game that is in front of us. We need to go to Bournemouth and get 3 points. We need to deal with Antoine Semenyo, regardless of where his future lies. We need to show that we have the mentality, the quality, and the determination to win these kinds of fixtures. The article ends with a stark warning for Arsenal. It says the Gunners need to navigate this fixture the best they can and hope Semenyo has an off day. If he does have a big day and helps Bournemouth to a result before going on to help City in the second half of the season, he will have one of the biggest individual impacts on the title race in Premier League history. That is the reality of the situation we are facing. That is why this fixture is so important. That is why the Antoine Semenyo situation is more than just a simple transfer story. It is intertwined with our title hopes, with Manchester City's ambitions, and with the narrative of this entire season. So, what is my prediction? What do I think will happen tomorrow when Arsenal travel to Bournemouth? Well, I am backing Arsenal to get the job done. I think we have too much quality, too much momentum, too much at stake to slip up here. I think Mikel Arteta will have the team prepared, focused, and ready to deal with whatever Bournemouth throw at us, including Antoine Semenyo. But it will not be easy. It never is against well-coached teams fighting for their own objectives. Bournemouth will make it difficult. Semenyo will be motivated. The atmosphere will be intense. Arsenal will need to be at their best. That is what makes football beautiful, though, is it not? The unpredictability, the drama, the storylines that develop over the course of a season. This Antoine Semenyo situation is just one chapter in what promises to be a thrilling title race. There will be more twists and turns before the season is over. There will be more obstacles to overcome, more challenges to face. For now, all that matters is Bournemouth away. 3 points. That is all we need. That is all we should be thinking about. Leave the transfer speculation to the journalists. Leave the title race calculations to the mathematicians. Just focus on the football, play to our level, and trust that the results will follow. Thank you for watching Arsenal Daily News. Make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, and let me know in the comments what you think about this Antoine Semenyo situation. Do you think it will impact our title race? Are you confident we will get 3 points at Bournemouth? Let me know your thoughts. Until next time, Gooners, keep the faith, and come on you Gunners.